Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission is Dr. Ahriana Platten, the author of a children's book that we're about to publish called The Changing Story. Welcome, Ahriana.
Thank you. Good morning, Laura.
You guys, Dr. Ahriana Platten is an international speaker, author, and courage builder. She helps people find their purpose and live into it. She's a master ceremonialist and practical mystic, widely appreciated for her authenticity, professional insights, and coaching on the process of change. I am so excited to have you here today and to be publishing this beautiful, beautiful book. And this is going to be a second edition of this book. And again, honored that you have asked us to help you do this and put this out into the world. So one thing I've already had so many shout outs about are the beautiful illustrations. Do you want to start by just shouting out your illustrator?
Yes, I'd love to. Her name is April Lavallee Robinson, and I waited 13 years to find her from the time that this story came till the time that I found the right person to illustrate it. She is just an amazing talent, and this book is beautiful. If there were no words on it, it's a beautiful book.
Agreed. They're so gorgeous. So why did you write this book?
Well, I can't really say it's a unique story. I don't really say I wrote this book. I sat in meditation by the side of the Arkansas River in Salida, Colorado, and sitting there while my eyes were closed, this story was told to me by the river. And so I quickly got up after it was told to me and went back to the hotel and wrote it down very fast. And then in my head thought, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And very quickly, you're going to publish it. Just, that kind of drop in that you get, you're going to publish it. So I struggled for a while at how that was going to happen because I could not find the visuals that I wanted. And I looked at video, and I thought about doing it as a short film, and there were lots of possibilities. And then I couldn't find the right thing, that thing that just felt right for me. So I put it away and was doing an online service one day, and this lovely, beautiful woman sent me a note afterwards. It was during the pandemic, and she was a hairdresser, and she wrote me a note afterwards, and she said, "My salon is closed, and I can't make an offering this morning, but I drew this picture of you while you were speaking this morning," and she sent me this little sketch of myself, and I knew instantly that this was the person that I had waited for, and reached right back out to her and said, "This is amazing. What do you think about doing this illustration for me?" And she jumped on the bandwagon, and it was that kind of magical experience all the way through with her.
I love that. And Ariana's story kind of tells you a little bit about who she is and how she shows up in the world. Were you always connected like that? Or can you tell us when that happened for you?
I think that's been my whole life, Laura. I grew up Catholic, and I can remember sitting in the Catholic Church and listening to things. First of all, let me preface that by saying I loved Catholicism. I loved the pomp and circumstance, the incense, the candles, the ceremony, the everything. And there are things in the theology of Catholicism that did not feel true to me. And I can remember sitting in the pew and having that message come in, because it would bristle me from the whole inside out. I would bristle against it. And I can remember hearing that, and knowing that voice of the divine saying, "It's okay, this is just one way." And being able to breathe and settle down into the idea that this was just one way of understanding, and that there were other possibilities.
I love hearing that story. I love the word bristled. I totally feel that. Okay, I was messing around over here while I was listening to try to get my glasses because I want to read something here. It says, I enjoyed reading The Changing Story as a grown-up reader. I was gently reminded of how our lives are weaved together perfectly, one big change after another, all in the right time for the right reasons. I know that readers of all ages will be mesmerized by the dreamlike illustrations that carry this beautiful story on rainbow-colored wings from one page to the next. And that, you guys, is one of our advanced readers who sent in a little advanced words of praise for the book. And I wanted to read it mostly because she said, the adult readers, because this is a children's book, but for parents trying to help their kids navigate in this crazy world, what do you want them to know?
Well, first, let me address the adult reader part. Because for me, this story is for people of all ages. It's a short 40-page story. There's nothing complicated about it, but it reminds us that change takes us to the core of who we are, that it really brings us to our most beautiful center, to the heart of who we are. And so this is a great story for people who are going through those big major life changes that feel so complex and so daunting, who won't necessarily read the big, thick advice book you gave them, but will get a touch of something positive from this book. The thing I love about it for children is that we don't really talk to children about change. We don't really address it unless they're going through something, and we put them in therapy, they're off visiting with the counselor, whatever it is. So for children to get the idea from their parents as they're reading this book that change is a positive thing, that we're going to do it our whole life, for us to normalize change for children and to help them understand that it's a process of life that brings us to something beautiful inside of ourselves, is a contextualization that changes lives. If we teach that to young children in the formative years, those years between 1 and 7, before their ideas start to really lock in, their experience of change, their entire life will be something different. And that, for me, is a powerful opportunity.
Oh my gosh, no doubt. So you're already getting to this next question, which you kind of answered already, but I'd love to continue this conversation. It was going to be like, why do you think we're so resistant to change in general? And you answered that piece. I mean, nobody talks about it, or it's reactions from the adults that you're learning from when they are stressed out by change. Right.
Yes,
So we're
exactly.
resistant for a lot of good reasons. Yeah. Talk more about that.
I think that's what you said is really the answer. We generally don't talk about change with children and really have that kind of big, powerful talk about change with children until they start to go into their teenage years. And then we talk to them about body changes, and we talk to them about testosterone and estrogen and all the things that are going to happen to them and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And it's not a beautiful, lovely conversation for many of us, for many children. It wasn't a lovely conversation for many of us growing up, so we don't do it well for our children. When we start talking about change as this beautiful adventure when they're young, it presets the ideas. It tells them something different. And then we're able to refer back to it as life goes on. This is just another opportunity. Remember how the mountain changed. Remember how the water washed over the stones and changed them. Remember how nature changes all around us all the time. We change like that all the time, from being little bitty babies to being able to walk, to being able to run, to now being where you are as a person ready to start school. So it opens the door for conversation, and that conversation it's a carryover, right? My son, do you remember the book, You're Not My Mother? Okay, my son is 20 years old. He came home this weekend with his new girlfriend to introduce me, and he said to me, I said something, well, you should do this. And he said, I don't have to listen to you. You're not my mother. You're a snort. Okay, this is 20 years. I read it to him when he was a little bitty boy. And that line, he can still remember all the way into his young adult life. enough to pull it back up in a random conversation. So what if kids were able to pull up these ideas about change being meaningful and positive all the way into their young adult life? How would that change things?
Yes, that's so funny. Yeah, how might that change the world if we really shape that from the beginning? So I wrote down, change takes us to the core of who we are. So, for those of us who are on the self-development journey and on a healing path, and we like signed up for it and we are walking into that with awareness, I get what you just said, but for those who are on the fence, haven't quite decided if they want to go on that journey yet, like, what do you mean by core of who I am, and why should I be excited about that?
Well, so we have there's a kind of a metaphor in our society about the fact that when a sculpture is done, we don't see the sculpture in the stone. We carve away everything that isn't what the sculpture will be. That's kind of how I see life and change. Change is about carving away everything we're not. It requires us letting go of ideas that somebody else gave us about right or wrong, or what we should do next, or what is the PC response to whatever it is that's going on in our lives. When we're in change, it invites us to let go of our ideas. If we want to go through it easily as we go through change, then we need to look at what we're resisting. What is the change that we're resisting? What would we have to let go of to move into this new area? And that's what this story is about. It's about letting go of noble ideas about who we are and what we do in order to move into the next bright light of who we really are. And we have lots of noble ideas. Our parents, our teachers, our advisors all gave us noble ideas about the right thing to do. Change is about coming to what you believe is the right thing to do. And you might come to the same decision someone else gave you, but first you have to let go of their idea and find out if it's really what's true for you or not. So,
Yeah, because, we're not just letting go of ideas when we do this, we're letting go of chunks of identity sometimes.
absolutely.
It's sticky.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to go from being someone's wife to being single again because you're not who you were when you were single the first time. You're someone very different. So you really are walking into the unfamiliar, and we are resistant to the unknown. In our society, we believe that if you know, you're safe. If you know the answer to something, I know how this is going to be done. I know what I need to do next. I know what's expected of me. You feel safe. When you have to say, geez, I really don't know what's expected of me next. I really don't know who I'm becoming. It takes more time. We have to slow down and feel into that and be present to it. But really, that's where the joy of life happens. When we feel into those deep, powerful, meaningful truths of our own, and we really come to understand who we are, really come to understand the gifts we bring, who we are, what makes us unique, that we are not like anybody else on the planet, and we were never, ever expected to be. When we come to that, there's an inner light that shines and a joy that we feel that can't be manufactured by anything or anyone else's opinion. It's solely self-emerging.
And this, you guys, is why you should be excited about change for sure. All of the ways you're talking about it, Ahriana, I know you're making me excited about it. And that's how we want people to feel with this book, with this topic. And around here at both Brave Healer Productions and also our Brave Kids books, we want people to understand what's possible and what's possible for your healing, for your life, to redefine things you think you know. This is world changing, and I get really excited about it. So you have kind of a thing or two happening other than this, the Changing Story publication. What else is going on in your world? What do you want to share with everyone?
Well, before we step away from the book, I want to tell you one more thing about the book. In the back of the book is a glossary of symbology that was woven into the story. What is amazing about this is it's part of that kind of mystical experience I had with April. She wove these pictures and I gave her a little bit of the story, and then she created the picture and sent it back to me, and it was like she just plucked it from my head. But after it was all done, there are so many little creatures and things woven into it that I started just sitting with it. I'm a big symbology person. And I started writing all the symbols in it and realized this is so rich because you have the opportunity to look at the symbols and deepen the story every time you tell it. So if your kids love it, my kids would read the same story 27 times. Please read that story again. And this gives you a way to kind of deepen your conversation and interact with them each time. So don't miss the glossary. It's in the back. Take a look at it before you start reading. I do have other things coming. We are launching another book in February, a book called Rites and Rituals, Harnessing the Power of Sacred Ceremony, which is my great love in life, to bring all of life into a ceremonial way of being, that we recognize that every moment of our life is holy. So we're working on that, which will launch on around the first week of February, and with Brave Healers. Thank you, Laura. And that opens up to our website, which is www.asoulfulworld.com. And soulful like filling your soul, 2 L's. Soulful, which is really the great work of my life, to help people understand that our society puts us in a position to give out, and we need to fill back up somewhere. We need to bring energy back in that inspires us, that motivates us, that lifts our hearts, that helps us to move through life. So a soulful world is an opportunity to look at business through a soulful lens. What are you getting back? How do you do what you do in a brilliant and beautiful way? It's an opportunity to learn more about sacred ceremony and how to create in your life a sacred and holy way, despite what your religious belief is, or whether you are spiritual and not religious. There is a way to make your life feel more connected. And so all the work that you'll find there, you'll find videos from our master teachers, all kinds of things there that are meant to lift you up and help you get through this time when we are moving through immense change. And there are weekly opportunities to check in with me in a live forum. All of that you'll find at asoulfulworld.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And we have everyone hooked up down below in the show notes with the website. So you guys just have to roll on down for a click. And I know something from this conversation today maybe sparked your interest, and take a little exploration on Ahriana's website and see all of the amazing things that she's up to over there. And like she said, we have not only the Changing Story coming out, but Rites and Rituals in the new year in February of 23. And there's a lot of awesome things going on in her world. And the Changing Story is coming to Amazon November 8th, but you're also all invited to our live stream book launch party on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page. That's on November 15th at 11 Eastern. And I have that hooked up down below with the link as well. And I hope you'll join me and Ahriana and also Kelly Kaschula, our Brave Kids Books director, for that party. We're going to be talking all about the Changing Story and children's books and all of the cool things that we're doing. And Ahriana, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for this mission you have with this particular beautiful children's book talking about change. Thank you for being here today to share that with everyone.
My pleasure. And I do want to say, Laura, anybody who comes to our changing party will get a free invitation to a class that I'm going to do around making change easier in your life. So come, you'll get a free gift just for showing up.
Ooh, all right. That's awesome incentive. Come to the party, you guys. We're going to have that link down below for you. Thank you, Ahriana. That's so fun. All right, you guys, lastly today, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.